published a series of editorials in the Washington Examiner, and I've developed a 4-point strategy called Frack China. Because just like hydraulic fracturing is critically important to our economy here in New Mexico, we need to go in and extract things out of China for the benefit of the American people. The first is we need to penalize the organ harvesting communist Chinese regime for the personal and economic devastation that they've inflicted on the world. Step one of that is to go in and use the president's emergency powers, just like we did with the Iranians when they took our folks hostage back in 1979. And we need to go seize and freeze Chinese assets. We need to freeze all their assets and then seize and liquidate the $1.1 trillion of U.S. Treasury bonds that China holds. And we can do that because those bonds are not held in paper form in Beijing. They're held in electronic form in a server here in the United States. And I'm a finance professor, so a lot of people saying, well, gee, isn't that just defaulting on the bonds? Absolutely not. It is seizing and liquidating on the open market, but we're selling it to non-communist Chinese participants because Japan has $1.2 trillion of our bonds. So when we seize China's $1.1 trillion, we don't want to hurt our allies around the world who have also been damaged by communist China. And in fact, that's step two of the Frack China strategy, is to go and get our allies around the world by invoking Article 5 of the NATO Treaty and Article 5 of our Japanese Mutual Defense Treaty and Article 4 of the ANZUS Treaty with Australia and New Zealand to allow our allies around the world to similarly go isolate China. As my Harvard Law School classmate, Senator Tom Cotton, says, we need to treat communist China just the same way as a pariah nation we do North Korea. And I'm old enough to be a Cold Warrior. I don't remember that we ever had Soviet Russia as a major trading partner. But step three of Frack China is the critically important step, particularly for here in New Mexico, because we need to repatriate our manufacturing base. We need to secure our strategic supply chains. And one of the things I worked on as the Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Trump administration, there's a list of critical minerals that we publish. These are minerals that are vital to the economic and national security of the United States. So many of them we're currently solely dependent on China for, but of that list of 35 critical minerals, 30 of them exist in the ground just in New Mexico. So if we can revitalize our mining sector, whether it be through deregulation or rolling back a bunch of brain-dead, anachronistic environmental laws, we can actually become not just energy independent like we did with our American energy dominance strategy, which I was proud to be a part of in the Trump administration, but we can also end our dependence on communist China for critical minerals. Now, in order to do that, we get to step four of Frack China, which is we've got to be able to have a labor force that actually do these manufacturing jobs. And so that means we need to reevaluate our system of higher education because every economy needs people who can build and fix and make and raise and grow things. And yet we're turning out a bunch of useless degrees out of our university system. As a college professor, I can tell you more than half of what we teach in college is totally useless. And as somebody who's personally changed the wax ring on a toilet, I can tell you there's a very good reason why we pay plumbers far more than we pay poets. So step four of Frack China is referred to as the academic enema, which is where we stop subsidizing a bunch of tofu-snorting leftist nonsense coming out of our universities and focus on the things that actually make America's economy work.